So Sri Lanka is better than India. Don't talk to Australia about cricket. The elephants roam free. That nature makes us happy. And the temples are plenty. I can't remember the rest.
Sri Lanka.
You can put that in the podcast.
I am.
We're back in Sri Lanka for the second episode in this miniseries with tips on what you could and, in my opinion, should see here on the island. And I get to talk to some people with some very difficult names.
Do I have to say your last name as well?
No need. No need.
Let me try. Idrishinge.
Edirasinghe.
Oh my God. Okay.
And speaking of difficult names, my name is Palabo, and this is the Radio Vagabond.
Meet Palebo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
We're not quite done with Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka. Later in this episode, we're going to be attending a cocktail party with some wonderful traditional music and dancing, and I speak to the chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism about what the terrorist attacks in April 2019 meant for this country, its people, and the tourism.
We will be able to get to a situation where there is security, but it's not seen security. So that's the journey we are on.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. Whenever you need a hotel anywhere in the world, go to Hotels25.com. That would get you the best price. Hotels25.com searches a bunch of the biggest hotel sites in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
We begin this episode in a truly unique place.
It's day 2 here in Sri Lanka, still in Colombo, and it's 9:45 in the morning, and we just had the most amazing breakfast at the Cinnamon Lakeside Hotel, and now we're off doing some exploring here, and it seems like the first stop is a spa, and let's see what's going to happen.
The spa is called Siddhalepa Ayurveda, and it's a fascinating place. They make their own herbal medical products like oil, balm, medicine, and toothpaste. It's also a hotel. They call themselves a resort, and it's a part of a hospital close by. It's a medical treatment center. They do cooking classes, and then they do massages, but not without talking to a doctor first.
We don't do any treatment without the doctor's consultation.
This is Ushan, their senior marketing manager. He's giving us a briefing on what's going to happen.
You might be wondering why it is. There might be cases, even people who have done surgeries some time back, they have forgotten if the therapist touched those points wrong way, it's not good. That's one reason. For ladies especially, there might be pregnancy cases, and there might be some other diseases even related to nerves, etc. So they are very careful about that.
Then it's my turn to consult the doctor before getting a massage.
We'll do body massage, is that okay?
Is one?
Body massage?
Yes.
Right?
I have a problem with my shoulder.
Shoulders, what happened?
I told her about my shoulder pains that I got on the flight from Doha to Sri Lanka.
It's difficult.
Very, very painful. And I don't know how it happened.
Remember I told you that in the last episode? When I arrived to Sri Lanka, I had the worst pain in my shoulder. It was so painful that I could hardly lift my arm. And I was hoping that this treatment might be able to fix it just a little bit.
And we'll do body massage, and I'll tell the therapist to focus on your right? Is that
Great.
Yes.
Great.
After getting the best massage I've arguably had in many, many years, I grabbed a hold of Ushan and asked him for a chat. But first I needed to make sure how to pronounce let me see. Siddhalepa Ayurveda. Yeah, I think it's something like that. Some of their products and his last name.
And this hotel is called Anarva Mount Lavina.
Oh my
Again,
God!
different,
Okay.
yeah.
And your name is Ushan.
Ushan, yeah.
Ushan. And do I have to say your last name as well?
No need. No need.
Let me try. Idrishinge.
Edir Singha, yes.
Almost.
Edir Almost same.
Okay, Ushan.
So the place is called Siddhalepa. Oh, come on.
Siddhalepa.
Siddhalepa Ayurveda.
Yes.
I asked Ushan to share more about what Ayurveda stands for.
Actually, when you talk about Ayurveda, it's a medical system. So, Ayurveda treatments, that means therapy oils and expertise hands, doctor's knowledge, and food. Healthy food is well connected. Because Ayurveda means the science of life or the way of life. So, if you get a healthy food, of course, you can balance your lifestyle, and that means you will not get sick, according to Ayurveda.
Ayurveda, is that a Sri Lankan term or?
It's a Sri Lanka. Actually, Ayurveda term came from India, but what happened was, Sri Lanka, we had our heritage medicinal system called Hela Osu. Hela Osu is the most ancient one, more than 5,000 years old. It was merged with the Indian Ayurveda and became Sri Lankan Ayurveda. And Siddhalepa, as a company, we have a 200 years of history, Ayurveda background with the family, because it's a family business here as a business, if you talk about.
So
Siddhalepa. 200. Because it's the 5th generation now running. And so that's why I explained Siddhalepa has it's synonymous with Sri Lankan Ayurveda, and each and every household they use our oils and other medicines.
Yeah, because you produce the oils and the balms and all the products yourself?
Exactly, we produce it. Those are the oils that we use at the therapy treatments. As we have amazing. Now you are at here Anarva Mount Lavina. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's in the city. It is the only city hotel with authentic Ayurveda, and we have another resort called Siddhalepa Ayurveda Health Resort on calm and serene Vadua Beach.
Okay. I'm going to put links to this because I won't even try to help spell it. It's also kind of a little bit like a hospital because there's a hospital not that far away, and people don't like to stay in hospitals.
Yes, the patients, as you know, nowadays nobody will like to be called them as patients, though they are sick. So they get the treatment there and stay here because we are in the proximity. Again, Siddhalepa's unique point, we are the only company has a hotel with the hospital and an Ayurveda resort with the wide range of herbal products.
And I just had arguably the best massage I've ever had in my life. It was
wonderful. Thank you.
Good. When we got here, I have this thing with my shoulder from the flight. It's almost like a tennis elbow, but just in my shoulder. And whenever I lift my arm, it's painful. And you introduced one of your balms.
Yeah.
And I felt like it helped, not perfectly, but I felt that it helped. So now I have here in my bag, not one, but two. It's a small jar of this Ayurvedic balm, and coming from Europe, this is cheap. It's like less than €1 for one. So I had two, so it's gonna last me for quite a while.
Of course, you said it's cheap here. You have come to the land of herbs, so that's why it's cheap here.
After the massage and using the balm for a day or two, my shoulder pain went completely away. Would it have done so anyway? I don't know, but it felt like this one treatment helped a lot, and I can highly recommend the place. We also get a small cooking demonstration and learned a lot about the different herbs and spices.
Anyway, so the turmeric or saffron, you might be wondering why. In Sri Lankan curries, we don't use any coloring, but this gives the yellow color, but the purpose is not to get the color with this. It is the antiseptic value, and it helps to proper working of the heart. That means you can reduce heart related problems by using turmeric or saffron. So that's why. Nowadays, 90% of our diseases and illnesses are starting from the food, because we are not having healthy food. Of course, unhealthy air is also connected, but so because of that reason, we are really concerned about food. Ayurveda always, it recommends certain food for certain diseases. Certain diseases and illnesses can be cured with just balanced food. No need of medicine. No. As you know, as you may also well know, water is one medicine, if you use it properly, right? So that way, food is really connected. Our food is always we are mixing with herbal spices. No ketchup, no butter, no coloring.
No.
So you will experience today.
Is it completely without dairy?
Yes, not dairy. We are using coconut milk. As you know, coconut milk is very famous now.
but I mean,
no dairy
from dairy, from milk from cows.
No, we are not using. No.
What about meat? Is it vegan, or is there meat as well?
We use sometimes white fish, because white fish is not contrary for the treatments. It won't give the adverse effect in the body while getting the treatments. Otherwise, Ayurveda doesn't prohibit anything from eating. What you can do is, if you eat something heaty or too nourishing, too heaty, too cooling, you can get the balancing one, the opposite effect as well. Then your body will get balanced. That otherwise people might think, oh my God, Ayurveda is something nasty that I can't eat seafood or something. No, you have to balance it. So that way you can have your food while in line with Ayurveda concepts.
As always, you will find a link to this place, Siddhalepa Resort, in the show notes and on theradiovagabond.com. When we come back, we're going on an open-top tour bus and a cocktail party with some local music and dancing in traditional costumes. I also speak to the chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism about the attacks that hit the country 5 months ago. That's in a minute, when the program from Sri Lanka continues. I got an email from Argentina. Hi Palle, this is Facunda from Cordoba in Argentina. I've been listening to the Radio Vagabond for a year now, and I absolutely enjoy it. It doesn't only make me feel like I'm traveling the world, but also helps me practice my English. For us, the people who have a full-time job in an office and get to travel once or twice a year, it's a great way to fulfill your travel hunger, to calm down your curiosity. Thanks for that. I wish you all the best, and do not hesitate to contact me whenever you come closer. Cheers, Facunda. Hola, Facunda. Thanks so much for your email. First of all, I'm so glad to hear that I also have listeners in Argentina. In fact, Facunda, I was in Argentina earlier this year, but I was only in Buenos Aires. And I'm sure that we both can agree that that's not nearly enough. Argentina is so vast, and I guarantee that I'll be back. And Cordoba is actually one of the places in your country that is high on my list. So I hope to see you there. We can go for a big Argentinian steak and a glass of your wonderful red wine. Muchas gracias. Let's keep in touch. If you also want to drop me a line, you can send it to listener@theradiovagabond.com. You can also send me a voice message on WhatsApp, +45 40 105 105.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
And now, back to the show and the open top tour bus.
Now we are going for a city tour. So we will visit here some important places in Colombo. Colombo name is derived from the Kola Amba. Kola Amba means green leaf mango.
Let me talk a little bit more about who I'm with here in Sri Lanka. We're a group of content creators, bloggers, journalists, Instagrammers, YouTubers, and one podcaster. And we've all been invited here by Sri Lanka Tourism to go on this 10-day press trip. One of these is Dave Brett. He calls himself Travel Dave, and he's the kind of guy I just seem to bump into every time I go to a travel media convention anywhere in the world. And we've been good friends after all that bumping. That came out wrong. Anyway, he's also a fun guy to hang out with, like here on top of the bus, where he grabs the microphone to try to sort of pump up the energy of this small crowd.
So is everybody having a great time in Colombo? Woo! Great crowd.
Well, not super successful in the beginning, so he started beatboxing. I didn't know he could do that, and I couldn't help myself. I just had to join in.
With a hip hop, a hip to the hip of the hip, hip a hop, and don't stop the rocket to the bang bang, the boogie to up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, the group, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet.
You're listening to the Radio Vagabond podcast. Before we continue, I want to remind you that I have a Facebook page where I share a lot of thoughts, pictures and videos. You'll find it by going to facebook.com/PalaRadioVagabond. And now, back to the show.
Back at the Cinnamon Lakeside Hotel that night, we were invited to a cocktail party on the lawn beside the pool. It was specially set up for us travel content creators. They kicked off the party with some traditional drumming and dancing, and then after that, a few people on stage.
Well, with the beat of the drums, it also signifies the beat of 22 million people who are eagerly waiting to warmly welcome you to this paradise of a nation.
Sri Lanka had a civil war for 25 years, but that ended 10 years ago, and since then, Sri Lanka has turned itself into a popular tourist destination, winning the title of best country in the world to visit in 2019 from travel guide publisher Lonely Planet. It was a big deal, and the tourism industry is ready for it. The hotels are ready, the many attractions are ready, and the people are ready, because this could mean so much for this country that really needs the money. And then, in the Easter, April 19, this happened.
The attackers struck 3 churches in the middle of Easter services in Batticaloa, Negombo, and the capital Colombo, where 5 other targets were also hit, including luxury hotels. In all, more than 200 people died in 8 separate explosions. Among the dead are dozens of foreigners. More than 450 were injured. Authorities have arrested more than a dozen.
4 days after the coordinated attacks in different cities, Sri Lankan Health Ministry estimated that 253 people died. The toll on tourism has been tremendous. According to travel consultancy Forward Keys, average net booking to and within Sri Lanka fell 186% the weeks following the attack.
It is my honor and great as our privileges to invite Mr. Kishore Gomez, the chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, who is going to address you with a few words.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for coming over to help Sri Lanka, to love Sri Lanka, and to take some very strong messages to the rest of the world to say that Sri Lanka is back again, as safe as what it used to be prior to the incident, and obviously to talk about all the beautiful tourism products.
It certainly was a big setback, and we saw the tourism numbers going down to rock bottom levels in May.
This is Chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism, Kishore Gomez.
But by July, we're being able to recover significantly to go up to some desirable numbers. And at the rate of recovery we are currently recording, over the next 3 months' time, I'm sure we'll be able to go back to the original levels we were at. And we should thank all the tourism stakeholders across the world for empathizing with us and showing their solidarity standing against global terrorism, because this time it was Sri Lanka, that became a victim, and it could be some other country.
That's what I'm thinking.
And if we stay away, then we'll be strengthening terrorism. Right? The way to teach a lesson to terrorists is by obviously showing your courage and helping those countries, that come under attack or, issues of this nature. So this is an event where the entire world has to work together, stand together to combat, global terrorism.
And I've been talking to some of the other influencers that are here on this trip, and they say that's also really why they're here. Maybe they've been here before, and they really want to give back to this country and help get back on the feet, because it's so unnecessary for people to stay away.
It is such an inspiration, not just to me as chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism, but to the entire nation, and it's very, very encouraging. It's lovely to see, very heartwarming to see the entire globe standing with you, and it goes to show that when it comes to global terrorism, it's the entire globe that has to come together to fight against it. So we've had that solidarity, we have had that support coming from literally every single country, which is very, very encouraging. And this time we came under attack of a global terrorist organization, first time in our history. We have learned our lessons, and we've taken measures in order to create that safe environment. And our military is a military that has fought the most fierce or ruthless terrorism organization in the world. The organization that introduced suicidal attacks to the world. So we fought it over 25 plus years, and we've been successful, and we managed to eliminate that level of terrorism. So with that experience, obviously we've taken the right measures, and with that I'm sure we will not have similar incidents occurring in the country going forward. There are so many festivals happening in Sri Lanka during this month. We have so many Catholic religious activities, church feast and festivals happening. And then apart from that, the world famous Candy Perahera, the procession, it's a majestic event. So a lot of foreigners, come to take a look at it. So therefore, we have strengthened the security, not to leave any room for anybody to creep through any loopholes, to ensure that all the measures are taken to provide that safe environment, not just for the tourists only, for the locals as well. So that's why you see intense security presence. So that's the journey we are on.
This majestic procession in Kandy that he talks about is actually something that some of us went to. I'll share more on my thoughts of that in a later episode here from Sri Lanka. But I can confirm that security in that place was quite intense. We had to go through metal detectors and have our bags scanned to get into the area. Almost like the security check in an airport. I also asked Kishu Gomez to name his top 3 reasons to come to Sri Lanka. And the first thing he mentions is the clean air.
Well, it's the oxygen, the cleaner oxygen we have as compared to some of the other markets.
Actually, even here in Colombo, which is a big city.
Sure. No, it is a big city, but only 30% of the tourists, stay in Colombo. Yeah. The rest of the tourists, go to other destinations. So we have scenic beauty, the environment we have. Number 2 is the diversity we have. Right, in terms of tourism products. Number 3 is we have a culture within which we respect the guests. We warmly welcome them. We do what it takes to make them happy, and we do everything possible to ensure that any tourist coming into the country go back with a positive feeling. So those 3, to me, would be the priorities.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure.
thank you very much for coming over. And this is your first visit, but I'm sure
Hopefully
you
not
will
my
be
last.
coming in, very, very frequently, more frequently than others. That is something I can sense by talking to you. You're a great guy, and thank you so much for helping Sri Lanka and working against global terrorism.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The diversity that Mr. Gomez is talking about is really something that we're going to see in the next following days. The tour will take us around the island, and the next day was the first day where we had to spend quite some time driving.
Today we're taking a longer drive to the eastern part of the island. It's called Trincomalee. It's a city in the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, 237 kilometers, 147 miles northeast of Colombo.
The Radio Vagabond is partly supported by Hotels25.com, and the trip to Sri Lanka is made possible by Sri Lanka Tourism. But everything I've said in this episode is my genuine opinion. See more on srilanka.travel. The Radio Vagabond is produced by radioguru.co.uk, and on theradiovagabond.com you can see some pictures and links to everything I mentioned. My name is Palabo, and I'll be back with more from Sri Lanka. And I'm so looking forward to that. See ya!